Okay, so Dr. Steve Best is a very good friend of my sister and I. He's an award-winning author and a writer of 10 books on the subjects of mostly animal rights, ecological crises, liberation, politics, even terrorism. And Veg News actually named him 25 most fascinating vegetarians. But get this, he was actually banned from the UK, meaning his philosophy is so outrageous, he's possibly seen as a threat because he is that intelligent and
he's a professor.
Yeah. And we have a mutual friend, Camille Marino, also an animal activist, that I love to death, and she was arrested recently, so I want Steve Best to go into it and introduce himself more so and talk about the arrests, because this affects all of us, not just animal activists, all of us.
And I'll translate in bimbo language so that people will understand what's going on.
Our first language. Go ahead.
Wow.
What I wanted to say what I want to say is that basically, if you're an animal activist or just plain a Constitution, rights amendment person, what's really scary, the government has been no friend of ours, and that, to me, this looks like big government. It has targeted animal activists, and we all used to blame Bush with the Patriot Act, and later on, they targeted amendment to that was the Animal Enterprise Terrorism Act, which came in 2006 directly to get these 6 brilliant kids for mere words on the website to arrest them. Camille has been so active.
Well, why don't we let Steve talk about, because he's a professor here. So
I'm just explaining the bill.
Go right ahead. I'm enjoying listening. So anyway, look, it's a little bigger than that. It's certainly about civil liberties. Absolutely, we're losing them piece by piece. We've got Obama, who is Bush on steroids. Obama was vetted by a system that is absolutely determined to destroy the Constitution. The fact that, for all intents and purposes, the Constitution is gone. The Patriot Act is the new law, and we live very much in a fascist and police state, and it's becoming ever more clear every day. So what we're talking about, what we're going to talk about in the next few minutes, what time we have, is to look at this police state that we have from the angle of the animal rights activists. And the animal rights movement and the environmental movement have been in the crosshairs of state repression for a good 10 or 15 years now. And they've been taken much more seriously. They've been nominated as the #1 domestic terrorist groups, if you can believe that. People try to save trees and puppies from being killed.
Animal activists. That's why we called ourselves the Kitty Liberation Front.
Not neo-Nazis, not the KKK, not these racist bastards or armed to the
bombers, no.
Yeah, and who actually go out and kill and hurt people. No, people are trying to make a difference in the world. And you know why? The only way to explain this is the power of corporations.
That's right.
Corporations will give a damn about neo-Nazis blowing up a building. They give a damn about their profits. And when the dominant corporations in this society today, or at least 2 of them, agribusiness and pharmaceutical industries, are challenged by activists, well, then you know that they're going to take action.
In
so
bimbo
we're going to look at
means...
that. Let me just say this. We're also looking at a health issue here. We're looking at a science issue. Because Camille has taken on one of the most powerful industries in the world, the biotech industry, big pharma. And big pharma is one of the most powerful forms of 21st century capitalism. It is based on a slave economy, like the 19th century southern plantation economy was, except the slaves in this case, and I mean this quite literally, are animals, and these animals are funding this economy. So anyone who challenges this are going to be, an economic threat. But also, see, what's happening here is that these pharmaceutical industries, this is bogus science. This is completely evil and unethical and immoral. And so when you challenge this power here, we're not just talking about our civil liberties at stake here, but our health, the future of our healthcare system, the medical progress in this country. Because vivisection and the pharmaceutical industries are interested in one thing and one thing only. That's not our health. that is the maintenance of sickness and the growing of their profits. So we're going to look at this from from a microcosmic picture. One activist named Camille Marino.
Yeah, she does.
And I want to tell her story.
I was going to say, I feel like this segment should have come with one of those like fast-talking, low man's voices that says the views expressed by the guests on this show tonight. I don't think we've gotten this political before. So,
in simple language, can I say something really easy? If the Barbie twins, which were simple-minded people,
we aren't rocket scientists.
Yeah, no, we aren't. But if we can get that, it is now, United States is pretty scary, even if you're not an animal activist. This is just an example that big government prefers protecting business over bodies. They'll allow KKK bombers, abortion bombers, not to be domestic terrorists. Animal activists, the Shack 7, were just kids on a website. So their First Amendment was breached because they were exposing something
legal activity.
Absolutely, because they were exposing a business that lost profit.
So it affects us all. So it's not even that political. It's just pretty alarming, something that we should all pay attention to. Because this bill kind of just slipped underneath us.
Yeah, so, thought crimes, dissent, protest of any kind. We've seen how the police just go in and smash peaceful protesters. And, it is so clear that we live in a Paso state. And when you look at when someone like Camille Marino challenges the pharmaceutical industry in a completely legal way, and now is on her way, in fact, just arrived at Detroit Federal Penitentiary for exercising her First Amendment rights, that we are in a police state. So let me say some things about Camille and about her story real quickly. First of all, people either love or hate Camille. And she is out there, and God bless her for that, because she is one of these people, like the abolitionists of the 19th century. I will not compromise. I will not back down.
She will take a bullet for the animal.
I am right, and we are going to protect rights and freedoms, and we are going to respect life. And she's one of these type people. And so she is not going to take any crap from anybody. And so when someone tells her to do something that is fully within her rights, she's going to tell them where to stick it. So now, look, Camille has been very involved, and let me just briefly mention 3 campaigns. These are important. 2 of them are, at least for our purposes tonight. First, she went after UCLA. There was a guy there named David Yentz and Dario Ringak. He's another guy. And they were doing primate experiments. They were, this is real scientific, right? They were addicting primates to amphetamines and cocaine, and then withdrawing the drugs from them to see what the results would be, and then they, quote-unquote, destroy them. And they do this year after year. They get grant after grant for this, and this is the great medical progress that we're making. Now, she got banned from the University. Let me say, she got banned from the University of California, UCLA, for doing that, okay? Then the second part of her story, now taking this directly into what we're talking about tonight, she went after the University of Florida. And she led a very successful campaign, in fact, one of the few successful campaigns I can think of recently, to legally petition them to give up their records, okay? If you're vivisectors, if you're scientists and you're doing something for medical progress, you have nothing to hide, right? Be transparent. Show us what you're doing. Show us your records. Well, of course, they have everything to hide because what they're doing is barbaric and it's unscientific.
And
so she fought a little war. She fought a war at the University of Florida, and she won. She got the records from University of Florida, and she put those online, and we learned some horrifying things that actually are standard operating practices of what happens at the University of Florida, Gainesville.
Exposed business is what she did.
Here's some of the things.
I'm just going to cut in here for a quick second, guys.
Yeah,
just cut in for a quick second and let our callers know that they can give us a call at 215-383-3927, 215-387. I'm gonna take us to our first break, and we're gonna come back and we'll talk a bit more, and we will see if we can take some calls.
Okay.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to Pet Pardons News Radio. After this segment, we're going to be speaking to Senator Menendo from Nevada, and currently right now we have the Barbie twins, and we also have Steve Bassett. We've got about 2 minutes for this segment. We kind of went long on the last one, so.
So can we round up how we
real
can
quick
support Camille?
and get to how to support her. So I've got to tell
right,
the story real quick. Okay,
the
story is real quick. That first she uncovered, she won the legal case against the University of Florida. She uncovered all the records of what actually happens to animals inside their barbaric medieval chambers. For instance, a capuchin monkey was captured from his home in the jungles of Guyana, tortured for 17 years until he died in 2009. Another macaque that was purchased from a laboratory that breeds animals lived in his cage with a broken hip, with no pain relief whatsoever, suffered chronic anorexia and vomiting, and they murdered him after 2 years. She found documentation of 5 monkeys that were force-fed toxic dirt gathered from 5 waste sites around Florida. They suffered throughout their lives, and then some died after months, many died after years. Now, that is not why tonight Camille is in University of Detroit Federal Penitentiary. Here's why. This is the next part of the story. I'll get to it very quickly. She went after a guy named Donald O'Leary, who works at Wayne State University at University of Detroit. And what she found, based upon, for instance, investigations by a very credible group, the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, is that O'Leary is one of the sick sociopaths. I mean, these people are sick, who take animals from shelters, who think they're going to a loving home. Instead, they're going to hell. They don't know it yet. They're going to the dungeons, the medieval barbaric dungeon chambers of the 21st century. And what they did, for instance, with one dog named Queenie, was they cut open, he and his staff, they cut open her chest. They installed instruments and devices in her heart and blood vessels to induce hypertension. They forced her to run on a treadmill while recovered from surgery. And who would have guessed? She finally got sick and died. This was so heinous that the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine got all over it, and Camille got over it. Now, here's why she's in jail. O'Leary, who was one of the key persons doing these sick, twisted experiments on animals with no scientific purpose whatsoever, issued a court order against her to take all his information off of her website, all of which was public, by the way. It was public. And she said no. And so he issued an injunction. They came and picked her up. And right now, tonight, she's sitting in the Detroit Federal Penitentiary for what? The crime of exercising the rights of free speech.
So how can we support her?
Individuals responsible for their crimes. Let me tell you what we can do.
That is a really good question.
As a terrorist, so how can we support her?
Let me tell you what we can do. I'm ready for that. This is really important. Number one, there is a website. It's very easy. http supportcamille.org. Okay? She needs money. We have raised a lot of money for her legal support. She's going to need more. She is going to appear Wednesday on a bond hearing. She may well get bonded out, but the trial will continue. It could be long and costly. She needs to be supported with money. Number two, she wants us to help us continue her campaign against the University of Florida. There is a website, Boycott the University of Florida. There is a petition. It has 15,000 signatures on it, and you can add yours to that to stop what they are doing to primates, our closest evolutionary cousins at the University of Florida. And finally, we can write Wayne State University, and we can ask them to stop these barbaric experiments on dogs that have no scientific value and are absolutely ethically evil. We need to support Camille. We need to support her campaigns, and by doing so, we are going to be on some of the front lines of stopping vivisection and ending this 3 century of fraud and helping to advance medical progress, because we have a lot of sick people in this world, and vivisection is not about health, it's about money. And so Camille is out there fighting for our rights and fighting for our health.
Yeah, and even if you're not into animals or any of that stuff, we're talking about civil liberties. If she gets arrested, this is going to be so difficult to undo. This will cement footsteps for the future.
For what we're able to do and say.
Horrible. So we need to support her. Support Camille Marino.
It's supporting her. It's supporting truth.
And First Amendment.
Yeah.
And First Amendment. You can't go wrong there.